Hey guys, Harry Thomas here, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to my much anticipated top 10 best movies of 2024 list. And holy shit, 2024, I mean, is has certainly been a step down for films in comparison to 2023. So not my favorite year for film in the 2020s, but that said, it's not the worst year for film this decade. We've still had more to see than in the lockdown and COVID days. I mean, it's just there have been one or two blockbusters this year that have been on the lackluster side, and several blockbusters that were supposed to come this year that were moved to 2025 due to the 2023 Hollywood and actors writers strike. But that said, even though 2024 hasn't exactly had its Barbieheimer, unless you count Wicked Part 1 and Gladiator 2, which certainly isn't the $1 billion success of last year's Barbieheimer, but it's something, I guess. And we have had, well, $2 billion smashes in summer, Inside Out 2 and Deadpool and Wolverine. But I think uh, that's I 2024. I think I still enjoyed going to the movies more than I didn't overall. And heck, the one movie this year made my list I didn't even put in my top 10 most anticipated movies for the year. So without further ado, if you want to know my top 10 favorite movies this year, then just keep watching. But before we get into the meat of my list, I just thought I would share my honourable mentions, movies that so nearly made the list. The War of the Rohirrim, Deadpool and Wolverine, and last but not least, a Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. And at number 10, Mean Girls, and the 2024 movie adaptation of the Broadway musical Mean Girls, more than a remake of the original 2004 film. And I get you're all you find this decision and this placement questionable. Like, Harry, is this really good? Why would you watch this Mean Girls when you could easily watch the 2004 better one? Well, uh, tougher shit. So this is my list, and there are going to be some picks that are controversial. And if I like Mean Girls 2024, that's okay. In fact, I love it. And it's not exactly the same as the 2004 original. It's more it's more of an adaptation of the Broadway musical, like I said. So what differentiates it is the songs, and the songs are performed extravagantly well, particularly by Renee Rapp, who steals the freaking show here with her goddess like voice. I mean, she could make any music sound epic as fuck, and she's she's the ideal Regina George. Sorry, Rachel McAdams, but this was such a worthy 20th anniversary celebration of the original Mean Girls, and Tina Fey came back, and she's still got it as Miss Newbury, and even Aguri Rice as Katie makes for a lovable Katie as much as Lindsay Lohan. Uh, and Janice and Damon were the one thing that this version did better than the original Mean Girls. So yeah, I think people are uh, being a bunch of meanies to it just because it released in January. You know, dumpster fire movie month. So every January movie gets unfairly dismissed and hated. Well, this showed that some January movies can be surprising gems, just like Megan, and I'm sure Megan 2 will be in January 2025. At number 9, It Ends With Us, and oh my god, uh, I think this movie is a 10 out of 10 masterpiece, and I've seen some people go as far as put it on their top 10 worst movies of 2024, which I do I do wish more people would see It Ends With Us in a different light, as I think Justin Badaloni Raphael from Jane the Virgin, he honors Colleen Hoover's work, and Colleen Hoover's most famous novel is brought to the big screen in the most beautiful way. And Blake Lively, I stand with her. I strongly sympathise with what she's going through right now. If the rumours are all true, as and she is a brilliant Lily Bloom. I don't care what anybody thinks, and she is one of my movie crushes of 2024. And this movie is not a male bashing movie, as some claim, as it does have Atlas, the one good man in Lily's life, who she should have got with from the beginning instead of the abusive Ryle. And after this, I would be more than happy to see an adaptation of the book. It starts with us, the sequel, as long as they made some changes to the source material, because I don't think that book is as strong as the book. It ends with us, and also the flower shop looked freaking gorgeous, and it's so similar to the florist right by my home, and I think that's this is 50 Shades, the 50 Shades trilogy done right. So this is the movie that women should watch to avoid domestic violence relationships, unlike that other shitty trilogy. Number 8, this is going to be a tiebreaker between Challengers and Young Woman and the Sea. But first, let's talk about Challengers. Well, and as as I said in my reviews, Challengers and Young Woman and the Sea are my two favorite sports movies of all time. So, yeah, 2024, you at least were a leap forward in the sports movie genre, and that's and Challengers is the one movie where I'm agreeing more with the general consensus, as 2024 was not only the year for monkey blockbusters, but it was Zendaya's big year, and she not only starred in Challengers so electrifyingly as Tashi Duncan, the most stunning and best tennis player in all of the film, but she uh, awesomely produced the movie and helped it be Luca Guadagnino's highest grossing movie. I'm eager to check out his other work after this. That's how wowed I was by Challengers, and damn did the tennis matches in this movie give me an adrenaline rush, and I was just constantly gripped by who Tashi was going to pick of the two guys that were fawning and just battling on the tennis field for her. She was like their Helen of Troy. And as for Young Woman and the Sea, well, this movie sure did defy the odds, as it says on the poster, and it should have been in theaters this summer, not just to Disney Plus, because it's it is above just straight to Disney Plus material. One of the most deeply moving biopics I've ever seen, way better than the mediocre Bob Marley One Love, and Daisy Ridley makes a triumphant return as Trudy Everlay's first ever woman to swim the English Channel in history, and and I'm glad she's becoming more well known now. This movie should help her become more well known too. The entire time you're going, you got this Trudy as she overcomes a patriarchal world to become, well, truly the greatest swimmer the world had ever seen of that time, showing that women can be just as well gifted swimmers and can do anything as great as men can. And yeah, the final few minutes of this movie, yes, certainly had me bawling when I found out what happened to Trudy later in her life after her achievement. At number 7, Denis Villeneuve's uh, magnificent Dune Part 2. Oh my god, what a stunning epic sci-fi uh, opera Dune Part Two is. It is like the it is like the Star Wars of 2024, and it's it totally blows Part One out of the water. Everything we wanted from Part One, we get exactly in Part Two. It all comes to a head with well. And Timothy Chalamet gives his most dramatic performance yet as Paul Atreides. How he goes from a fallen hero to becoming the most hateable character in the film by the end, where the power gets to his head. He totally breaks Chani's heart in favor of marrying the Emperor's daughter, and even Rebecca Ferguson uh, as Paul's mother carrying pregnant with his baby sister. She's pregnant the entire movie, and she's consistently involved with all the action. Now that is a kick-ass woman, if I say so, and uh, and Zendaya once again shines as Chani. I mean, thank God she's in it for way more than 5 minutes this time, and that entire uh, final battle is a mammoth climax filled with filled is a mammoth climax filled with great stakes, and you never would have thought Austin Butler would make such a slick antagonist, but or you'll never look at yeah, it's the guy that played Elvis the same way again, and yeah, and after this, just gimme parts of Free Messiah already, where we'll get Anya Taylor-Joy as Paul's sister. We need it. At number six, a movie that no other movie reviewer or fan is gonna put on their list, but I will. My second favorite Barbie movie of the 44, Barbie and Stacy to the rescue, and indeed the uh, creme de la creme of the Barbie sister trilogy, a total improvement over Skipper the Big Babysitting Adventure last year. And this was the first animated Barbie movie that I had the privilege of seeing on the big screen because it got a UK cinematic release. So this is not just a toy commercial designed to promote Mattel's Barbie merch, and the Barbie movies are infinitely more sophisticated than the crap that Illumination puts out, like Despicable Me 4. No, this has way more intelligence put into it. And Stacy, my favourite of Barbie's sisters, certainly the most underrated, being the middle child. She finally gets to shine in her own story as the protagonist, and you do feel for her left out of so much just because she's viewed as too young to be Barbie's co-pilot in the hot air balloon race, but too older to play with the littlest of kids. So what's her place? Tackles the important message: you can do anything regardless of your age. Don't let anybody put you down because of how old you are. And Stacy proves herself, saving her sisters Barbie and Skipper's life. And you do not want Skipper as your co-pilot. Catchiest musical numbers in a Barbie movie since Greta Gerwig's Barbie, especially You're Amazing, which I related to immensely, having a sister myself. At number five, one of the only great animated movies we've had this year, Inside Out 2, and this is the Frozen 2 of Pixar. It's stunned me on every level, even more than the incredible first Inside Out, and I did not think it was. Uh, Kelsey Main, you proved to be just as well worthy to direct the Inside Out franchise as Pete Docter has. This movie utilized the Riley's other emotions better than the first film, disgust, anger, and fear, as they got to go on the adventure through Riley's mind with joy and sadness and anxiety and embarrassment and envy and ennui, being just as lovable as our older crew, and 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 like, and there are no, and they're not the villains. They're just doing what's best for Riley, and Riley's panic attack and her thoughts, I'm not good enough, totally truly shocked us all in the cinema. I mean, yeah, I did not think this would outgross Frozen 2 as the highest grossing animated movie of all time this year, so I'm glad Pixar are finally making the big bucks again, like they deserve to. At number four, and this is going to be a pick that most of you disagree with, but I'm going to do my best to justify this. Joker Folie à Deux, yes, or Joker 2, depending on how you prefer to call it. But this is hands down the most underrated movie of 2024, and the one I was proud to watch for my birthday, and maybe I slightly overpraised it at the time, calling it the best movie this year, as I have now, well, I would now rate it a little lower on my list, but I still absolutely love it, and I can't believe the majority called this an atrocious cinematic disaster, and the number of people I have seen put this on the top 10 worst movies of 2024 is crazy. It's not that bad. Heck, there are far worse comic book movies this year. It is better than Madam Web, Venom the Last Dance, and Craven the Hunter combined, and it's it really does upset me how awfully it did at the box office, and how it bombed so hard it went to digital just don't after a month of being in theaters. So glad I didn't miss my chance to see it on the big screen, because I just because people, well, didn't want a sequel to Joker 2019, which I get, but you're okay with the Disney live action remakes existing. Just think about that, and I see no harm in just one more Joker movie, and this film has just as much effort behind it as Joker 2019. I don't see the difference from Walking Phoenix being, well, just as astonishing here as Arthur Fleck's Joker as he was in the first film, to Lady Gaga being utterly electrifying as Harley Quinn, even if Margot Robbie is still the queen of all Harley Quinns, and the and the musical numbers and the decision to make this a musical, I think, make this one of the most unique and standout comic book movies. The Joker being the best song in the movie, both for the Walking Phoenix and Lady Gaga cover, and it's one of the most immaculately lit and shot movies I've seen this entire year. You can tell this had, well, over double the budgets of the first Joker at $200 million, and so money well spent. And even that Gary scene was just so raw and so beautifully done, and I think this is a sequel that truly respects the first Joker and works as the perfect epilogue and part two to it, rather than making it redundant, as some say. And you can't deny that animated opening sequence, Me and My Shadow, the Looney Tunes rated R. That was the best opening scene this entire year. At number three, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Ooh, 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 ooh. Yes, boy, did we have some monkey business at the movies this year, and we've just gotten Better Man from the director of The Greatest Showman, where a chimpanzee is playing Robbie Williams. But over the monkey blockbusters this year, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes totally takes the cake, as this is my second favorite Planet of the Apes movie. I'm not gonna beat around the bush about that. I think it's just below War for the Planet of the Apes, but it is consistent with the quality of the Caesar trilogy, regardless of what some say. I wish more people would talk about this one because I have high hopes for the sequels, for the especially the second sequel that has been announced for summer 2027, one of my most anticipated movies for that year. And I think that this film did a bold decision, having entirely new characters and taking place 3 centuries after Caesar's timeline, with starting Noah's journey and May's journey, the two ape and human protagonists of this new established trilogy, and to seek to begin their clashing ideologies of whether apes and humans can truly share the planet peacefully, and Proxima Caesar being flat out the greatest movie antagonist of 2024. Yeah, yeah, Kevin Durant sure will send shivers down your spine every time he speaks in this movie, and CGI being the most groundbreaking since the Avatar movies, and it's you won't believe it was made on only a budget of $160 million, and for the longest Planet of the Apes movie, it flew by infinitely faster than the Tim Burton one. At number two, a movie that's gone up even more the more I think about it. So, The Wild Robots. Yes, I. This is truly one of my favorite movies this year, and as well as my favorite animated movie of 2024. No competition. It's blew my expectations out of the water in how heartfelt it was, how beautiful it was, how respectful to younger viewers' intelligence it was, and how daring it was. And this is DreamWorks' first, well, uh, greatest work since the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy. Chris Sanders, this is another home run for you after How to Train Your Dragon and Lilo and Stitch, and more than made up for DreamWorks' two disappointments, Trolls Band Together and Kung Fu Panda 4, and Roz being one of the kindest and most caring DreamWorks protagonist, and one of the most determined, raising a robot adapting to the wild, and raising this little gosling as he has bright bill, as he has nobody else. She is so tenacious, and it does answer the question: can nature and technology coexist peacefully? So turns out sometimes they can work together, as Pedro Pascal's fox helps the animals of the forest realize that Roz means them no harm, and she's done nothing but wonders for the forest, and yet they've treated her like trash. And I was weeping in some moments that tug on your heartstrings when she is showing Bright Bill the ways of flying, and when Bright Bill calls her his mum, and that end credit song, Even When I'm Not, I think will resonate with a ton of people. This would be my number one movie of the year, if not for one that's I did that I wish I had hyped up more. My number one movie of 2024 is a wicked one for sure. Pun intended. Is Wicked Part 1. What a absolutely dazzling, flawless masterpiece. And it's only part one. We still have more to come. We are people having way higher expectations for part two now, and yeah, I mean, Wicked Part One. It's well defied my expectations on every single level. Holy fuck! This John M. Chum, you couldn't have been the better director to adaptate it from stage to screen. Your love for the musical truly shines in every single frame. And I'm gonna say it, Ariana Grande, she gives the most astonishingly wonderful performance of the year as Glinda Upland. And the character of Glinda is one she's been passionate about her entire life, and she finally gets to play her dream character. She is an absolute queen as Glinda throughout this movie. As yeah, she ate her song popular and left no crumbs. That is how great she is, and Cynthia Erivo as Elphaba. She is a brand new rising star after this movie, and this movie absorbs you and makes you want to stay in the world of Oz, and its world building here is the most stunning I have seen all year. Michelle Yeoh as Madame Morrible and Jeff Goldblum as the wizards. They make for such a perfect duo. The CG animals blend so well with the live action human characters, and you are rooting for the animal rights as much as Elphaba's rights in making this one of the most mature blockbusters to have with discrimination I have ever seen, and the decision to have the actors all sing live with no audio tuning was the correct one, because every single singer, even extra, blew my socks off with how accurately they captured the songs. They sounded exactly like the soundtrack from the Broadway show. You never feel once the 2 hour and 40 minutes run time. It's one of the uh, best edited 2 hour 40-minute movies in some time, and it would have felt too rushed and unsatisfying as just one movie. And this film does favor practical effects over CGI, a decision that strongly helps it feel canon to the 1939 classic Wizard of Oz. Yeah, this is the definition of a love letter to a Wicked and the entire Wizard of Oz fan community, and a love letter to movies itself. So yeah, if you couldn't tell, I think it's the popular opinion that Wicked Part 1 is the best movie of 2024. So, yeah, that was my top 10 favourite movies of 2024. And I love you guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this list. And what are your top 10 favourite movies for this year? Please comment and let me know. Please like this video and subscribe. Please follow on Twitter and on Instagram. And I'll see you next time when I share my top 10 worst movies of 2024. Oh boy, because yeah, there was a pile of pieces of garbage that we had to endure this year. And remember, movies are us. Bye, guys.